Hello everyone! Welcome to Craft Apple. Today we're going to be making some angel earrings. So I'm going to be putting together kits for these that you'll be able to order from my Etsy site. They'll come in a little Ziploc bag that's 3 inches by 5 inches. Inside will be a slip of paper like this that tells you what the kit is, a little picture of what the project is, and all of the things that are included in there. So to make this, you're going to need 2 ear hooks. I bought some yesterday, ear hooks. You're going to need 2 head pins. Bought some of those yesterday too. You're going to need your beads, which in this case, you're going to need the skirt bead, the wing bead, the head bead, and the halo bead. 2 of each to make a pair of earrings. You're also going to need some pliers. You're going to need some side cutters, which snip off the side of your wire. You're going to need some round nose pliers. And you're going to need some chain nose pliers or some needle nose pliers. My camera really doesn't want to focus on my face and on these pliers at the same time. Sorry about that. I really highly recommend, okay, when I first started doing this kind of beading, I bought 1 pair of chain nose pliers and a pair of these because I was like 12 and had no money. But it would have been worth the extra $5 or $7 to buy a pair of round nose pliers. They really make a huge difference. And after that, I bought a second pair of chain nose pliers. So in my crafting box, I have 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, and I use them both in the same project because I'm wrenching on 2 things, or I'm wrenching on 2 sides of a jump ring or something. So it's really great to have 2 pairs, but that's not necessary for you as a very beginning beater. But I highly recommend the round nose pliers. Now, when I was out yesterday shopping at Michael's, we looked in the plier section and I showed you a package of 5 pairs of pliers and it had a little micrometer in there. And that was the best value around. And I'm sure like if you have a Hobby Lobby near you, they'll have a similar thing. Even hardware stores have a similar thing, but they don't tend to have round nose pliers in them. You really want to have the round nose pliers. Really, really want to have the round nose pliers. So if you're going to buy a set, make sure that it has a round nose pliers in it, a chain nose or needle nose pliers in it, and a side cutter. Or end nippers will probably work too, but side cutters are great. I noticed that they're more expensive to buy individually than they are as a set. I'll insert a picture here of the set that we looked at yesterday. If you already have some of those pliers and you just need to buy like 1 set or something, Harbor Freight has little snippers and little chain nose pliers for like $2 a set. So that's an option for you. So you'll need these to complete this project. So before you attempt this, you'll need to get those because you can't do it without them. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to turn my camera around and reposition it, and I'll get back to you. All right, folks, I've put the pair of earrings that I already made down here so you can get a better look at those. I'm going to use the tips of my pliers to point out the pieces we're going to use. This is the skirt bead, which is the same as this one here, and the wing bead, which is the same as this one here, and a head bead, which is this one here, and a halo bead, which is this one here. And you can see when they're all stacked up in order. It looks like a cute little angel in a skirt. Okay, so the basic technique for these, by the way, I'm going to have an extra head pin in your bag of goodies, in your kits, so that you have a piece to practice on. And that's what we're going to do first, is when we put these together, we have to make a loop at the top of the angel. This loop right here. It keeps spinning around because it's free to spin around. We have to make that loop with our pliers. So it's not a skill that is perfected in 2 tries. So it's good to have an extra length of material to get going on. And how you do that is, now this is a piece I snipped off yesterday, so this is extra. And I see that the camera has it really blurry, so I'm going to move all of my pieces out of the way so that my camera can focus better. All right, so I'm going to take my chain link nose pliers, and I'm going to give myself a little space here, and I'm going to bend my wire at a 45-degree angle, like so. And now, if you're trying to do this against a bead, you're only going to have so much room. I suggest leaving yourself about that much space, about well, my pliers may have tinier tips, but you're going to want to leave 1 millimeter or 2 between where you try and grab the wire and the end of your bead. So I'll show you that again in a minute. Okay, but after we have our thing at 45 degrees, you may need to cut it off. I think this one is a pretty good length. And what I like to do is I like to measure it against my finger, because it's always attached to my hand, so it's always right there. But you know, it can still vary enough to really impact the size of the loop that I make. So you gotta find a system that's gonna work for you. So I'm gonna snip it right there, because I think, oh, that's gonna be too short, I think, but that's all right. So snip it, and then you're gonna take your needle or your round nose pliers, and you're gonna grab the wire in a reasonable place. And again, as you practice this, you're gonna wanna practice putting the wire in the same place on your pliers every time. And now you might notice that my pliers, this jaw is bigger around than this jaw. So I also have to take care that I'm using the same jaw both times. So I'm going to place it at the end. See, it's just right at the end of my pliers, or at the end of the wire. The wire is right flush with my plier jaws. And then notice where the kink is. The kink is facing me, and I'm going to roll my pliers toward me. Once, readjust. Twice, readjust. 3 times, readjust. And now I'm to the point where I want it to be closed and it's not. So I didn't cut my piece long enough, or I didn't leave my piece long enough. Now I could stick my round nose in here and like try and force it into round and get something a little closer to what I need. But it's not very pretty, so I'm going to try again. I'm going to just use the other end of this piece because it's right here. So again, let's put a bead on here. I'm going to put the head bead on here so that I can show you that I want to put my chain, the nose of my pliers, I'll just maybe like that much above the head of my bead, and it keeps sliding just like that much or something. And then I'm going to bend it at my 45-degree angle, and I'm going to have the bend in it facing me. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to line the end of my wire up flush with the jaws of my round nose pliers. I'm going to put that wire in the same place on my plier jaw as I had it last time. And again, I'm going to roll it forward until my wrist is at a funny angle. And then I'm going to slightly loosen up the jaws of my pliers just so that I can reposition them in that same groove, and then tighten and roll toward me again until my wrist is in a funny position. And then loosen and readjust again, and tighten and roll towards me, and relax and readjust and roll toward me, and relax and readjust and roll toward me. Looks like I still could have used more length, but there I have a better result. Looks like I had a little bit more play. There, that's what you want to end up with. All right, so go ahead and practice that a few more times if you need to, and then we'll do the real thing. Okay, so to do the real thing, you need to take your head pin, and this head down here is going to keep your beads on. So what we're going to do is we're going to string the skirt bead on there, fat end first. Then we're going to put the wing bead on with the tips in, tips toward the skirt. Then we're going to put the head bead on. And it's perfectly round, so we don't have to worry too much about that. And then we're going to put on the halo bead. And then we're going to make our loop at the top. So I'm going to grab all these beads down here between my thumb and forefinger so that they're not going anywhere. I mean, my thing is still going to go anywhere, but I don't want the beads to move. And if I'm really talented, I might be able to butt the head pin against my second finger and then hold them with my thumb and forefinger, and now that pin isn't going anywhere. So then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers or my needle nose pliers, whichever one I have, and I'm going to grab the metal right above the halo. I'm going to try and move so you can see I've just got a tiny bit of space in there, and I'm going to bend at my 45-degree angle, and you'll see that my pliers ran right into the halo bead. Come on, adjust. There we go. Ran right into it. And then I'm going to have to decide how long to trim this off. Now, I have my ruler standing right here. My ruler doesn't stand up by itself. So I'm thinking, if you don't have an eye for this, which I expect you to not to, camera's focusing on my pliers, then a good thing to do when you're starting out is to measure. And I'm thinking that 5/8 of an inch is going to be a good length. So 5/8 of an inch is this mark right here. This is 1/8. This is 2/8, aka a quarter, and this is 5/8 right here. So that's the length I'm going to snip my wire. So I can probably only eyeball it. Look at me put the end of my ruler by the bend. If it's off a little bit, it doesn't matter. And then see, I'm putting my thumbnail right there at the 5/8 of an inch mark. I've got my beads still pinched between my thumb and forefinger. I haven't moved this thumbnail, and now I'm going to snip right where my thumbnail is. And if I'm really talented, I can grab these, use these fingers to grab this and snip so that it doesn't go flying, because it will go flying otherwise. But if you can't manage that, that's fine. That's a really dexterous skill to have. Okay, so now you're going to take your round nose pliers and you're going to put the wire end flush with the jaws of your pliers. It doesn't look flush, but it pretty much is. It's a little proud, but it doesn't matter very much. And see, I've got my angel pinched between my thumb and forefinger. And the bend is facing towards me. You can see that when I tip it that way. I can even put my second finger underneath the head of the pin so that it's not going anywhere, and pinch between thumb and forefinger, and then I'm going to tighten up the jaws of my pliers and roll towards me, and then readjust and roll towards me, and readjust and roll towards me, and readjust and roll towards me, readjust, roll towards me. And now I have a beautiful loop at the end of my angel. If your loops are not this beautiful starting out, fear not, okay? You are not alone, and this takes a lot of practice. The one thing I will say is resist the temptation to roll it all the way at once. You'll get a much nicer, smoother result if you do it in multiple turns like I was showing you. So that's one angel done, and now we have to do a second one. So here's our second pin. I'm going to move this angel so that my camera can focus better. And we're going to put on the skirt bead, fat part first. We're going to put on the wing bead, tips first. We're going to put on the head bead. We're going to put on the halo bead. And then we're going to do the loop again. So I'm going to let the beads fall down to the bottom. I'm going to hit the end of the pin against my second finger. I'm going to clasp the rest of the angel between my thumb and forefinger. Then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to leave a tiny bit of space between the tops of my beads and my pliers. I'm going to bend it away from me at a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to use my ruler again. See, I've got my ruler lined up with the bend, and I'm counting up my 5/8 of an inch. Here's 1/8, 1/4 inch, or 2/8. 3/8 is this medium-sized line right here. So I'm going to put my thumb on my wire at that length, and see me having trouble holding it. So if you're having trouble holding it, you are not alone. But there's my mark right there. Then I'm going to take my cutters and snip right at my thumbnail there where I had it. If I'm really talented, I'll reach out here and grab this piece so that it doesn't go flying. Then again, I will hold this so that the butt of the angel is against my second finger, and grab the angel beads between my thumb and forefinger. I'm going to take my my round nose pliers, and I'm going to put the end of my pin flush in the jaw of my pliers, like yay, and hopefully the same spot that I had them last time. Okay, I'm going to tighten up and roll towards me. Loosen up, readjust, 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 roll towards me. And there we have it, another beautiful loop. Now if I put them side by side, you'll probably notice that one is a little bit bigger than the other. That's fine, nobody is going to notice. And that's a thing that as you practice this, your loops will become closer and closer and closer to the same size as each other. And that is a result of your needle nose or your round nose pliers being tapered. And so the farther toward the end you hold the wire, the farther this way you hold the wire, the smaller in diameter your loop is going to be, and the farther towards the inside of the pliers you put the wire, the larger diameter your loop is going to have. And now we're ready for the very last step, which is to attach our angels to our ear wires. So I have an ear wire here. It's got a loop down here at the end, just like the loop that we made in the top of our head pin. And we are going to take our chain nose pliers or our needle nose pliers, and we're going to grip the side that has the opening on it. And now this is where, if you had a second pair of chain nose pliers, I would use them like maybe right here or right here to help me hold this side so that I could get more force on it. But I'm going to like bend, I'm going to roll my wrist. Roll my wrist like this while I have it horizontal in front of me, and I'm going to hold on to this coil and this little bead ball here, and I'm going to roll my wrist so that that lip comes up, not just out, not out at all, just up. You can see that from all the way around. It's almost coming, if you look at it just right, it almost looks like it's coming sideways away from it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my angel, I'm going to thread the angel loop onto the ear wire loop. I'm going to take my pliers back and I'm going to close it. And how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to roll my wrist now back toward me, and I'm actually going to move the end of the wire past this wire a little bit and let it bounce back, and that will help it stay closed. And there we have one done. And now we got to put the ear wire on the other one. So here's my, move this guy. Here's my second ear wire. So again, I'm pressing the ear wire between my thumb and forefinger so that I'm holding that spring in that ball. I noticed I'm also putting this against my second finger like I did with the head pin to keep it from moving around. So I've got it nice and sandwiched in there between my fingers. And I'm going to take my chain nose pliers or my needle nose pliers. Again, I'm going to be holding it horizontally to me with my nose on there, and I'm going to roll my wrist away while keeping the hook steady, facing away from me, well, with the loop facing away from me. And I'm going to roll my wrist to open up that circle again, and see it's facing out rather than just opening. Instead of opening this way, we're opening this way, up and down, rather than out and in. So now I'm going to put the loop of my angel through the loop on my ear wire, and I'm going to close the loop by grabbing it again in the same spot, and now rolling my wrist towards me, going a little bit past the post and letting it sit back into its original position. And now I have a pair. Now I have two. And there you go. And now I'm going to ask you a question. I would like to know, so leave me a comment in your description down below if you would like to make some more Christmas earrings. First of all, this is a little thing I made to hold my earrings. So like, this is a pair of angels that my mom made, and this is a pair of angels that I made, and these are some Christmas trees that we could make together if you're interested. And here's another version of a Christmas tree, and here's yet another version of a Christmas tree. So we could make those if you're interested. I also have some snowman earrings. We could make some of those if you're interested. It's the same technique. We can't make the pine cones, those are cast. And we could possibly make some like these here. These are real jingle bells, and they just have a ribbon tied and they're attached to an ear wire on the back. So we could make some of those if you're big into Christmas like me. We could also make some of these reindeer, but they're going to be significantly more expensive because the antlers are only available in sterling silver right now. And sterling silver is beautiful, and it's a great choice if you have metal sensitivities, especially on the hooks. On the rest, it probably doesn't matter very much. So these components are like $4 a piece. Each antler is like $3 or $4 a piece. So that would be a significantly more expensive kit, but if you're interested enough, I can order those and make up kits for you. All right, let me know what you'd like to do next. It doesn't even have to be Christmas earrings. It can be anything. You got a problem with a craft? Let me know. We'll see if we can solve it together. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time.